Boom. And there we are, 8 o'clock. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode number 107 of Mirrorless Minutes.
I didn't remember what number it was.
Usually I don't, but I made sure to kind of glance down at the bottom of the screen because it's usually me that doesn't remember. Hell, I didn't even remember we had a show this week. I had to ask you. Man, what's going on?
But it's a good thing. We did.
Right.
And here we are.
You know, it's funny. Like, so I couldn't remember what show we were on or that we had a show this week. And marijuana just became legal in Michigan. And I swear to God, I swear it's just pure coincidence that that's how that worked out. Actually been having a crazy debate on Facebook about it. It's pretty wild. It actually, so Bob in the chat room said calendar entries are a wonderful thing. And my calendar reminds me, Bob, on the day before. And I asked Mike 2 days ago. So give me a little space here. Give me a little space to work. So, hey, Mike's at home. That's weird.
Maybe. Bob, set it in your calendar to tell us when there's a show. That would be better.
The Monday before the show, Bob, we'll have a calendar reminder that says, hey, remind Mike and Jamie that they have a show this week.
There you go.
So, hey, it's good to see. It's good to see you back at home. That's nice.
Yeah, it is back, and it is nice to be back. Might as well take advantage of it because I go out next week. So,
right.
Then I only have, I think, 4 more trips in the next 6 weeks, and that's it. But that takes me up, 6 weeks? Takes you into December.
That's crazy. So just out of curiosity, do you, I'm sure you do. Do you know how many miles you've flown this year?
Yeah, I'll hit 100,000, and it doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, it is when
you're sitting on a plane.
It's all in the U.S. That's the biggest issue. It's like, I don't take a nice trip to the U.K. or Australia where you get all those miles.
Right.
100,000's, 30, 40 flights, times 2 there and back.
Yeah.
That's a lot of flights. And usually those crappy ones too, hour-and-a-half ones are never nice planes.
Nope.
Nothing like that.
It's up and down. Boom, boom.
Yeah. Then you fight everything for it.
Right.
All
right. So here's the deal.
Right.
So I titled the show "All Hail Skylum," and I'll tell you what, man, I've been setting my workflow for years. I've been an Adobe guy forever. Still love Adobe. Believe me, Adobe's not going anywhere in this house. Everybody that is a regular to the show knows that the president of Skylum is Scott Bourne, a fellow member of the Olympus Visionary Program, and friend of Mike and mine's. And we are using Skylum products lately. Again, thanks to Scott for the generosity of sending us copies of their software to use. Yep. And I'll admit, I spent quite a while just kind of looking at the installer package, and then I installed it, and I thought, wow, it's different. I don't know. I'm back to Lightroom. Well, I think I spent, I'm going to say probably 4 days last week, roughly, really just kind of digging into it and trying to develop a workflow that makes sense for what I do. And to be honest with you, that workflow starts off in Lightroom just because of the data asset management or the DAM side of things. I mean, everything comes into Lightroom. It's organized. I've gotten more into rating my things so I don't have to sift through as much stuff. And then I'll find an image I like. And I forced myself, rather than start flipping sliders and dials and all that stuff in Lightroom, to just fire it out and edit it in Luminar. Now, there are other pieces of software that we'll talk about tonight. I know Mike's going to talk about some. But I personally focused pretty much primarily on Luminar because it's more along the lines of what I do in Lightroom. And I'll tell you what, I'm pretty floored with the way Luminar works now. Now that I've kind of figured it out and I gave it a chance and I went into it with the mindset that this is not Lightroom. This is not going to look like Lightroom. This isn't going to feel like Lightroom. The tools within it are the same as in Lightroom. Some of them a little bit better. But it looks different and functions just a little bit different as far as how you navigate through it. And I went into that, I think, based on, I'm pretty sure Scott Bourne at one point had said in some sort of a post on Facebook or somewhere online, go at this knowing that it's not Lightroom and that it's going to be different and that it's going to be something you're not used to yet. And that's what I did, So like I said, I gave it 4 days, and I'll tell you what, man, I'm pretty floored with the results. So, and that's going to be part of the image share tonight for me. I'm not going to go into a ton of depth as far as exactly how the adjustments went in Luminar to get the end result, primarily because I honestly don't remember a lot. I mean, I kind of do, but it's so new to me. If it were Lightroom, I could just say, oh yeah, I did this, I did that, I did this, I did that, boom, 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 done. This, it was a whole learning process. You know, it's like if you went out and you made, you know, some sort of a crazy meal that had like 50 ingredients and you had only done it one time before, and somebody a week later says, so how did you do that? You'd probably say, I put a little, I'm not sure.
A little that. Yeah, you know, it's funny too with because when we were talking about today's show, doing our, you know, very intense background that we do before every show, we talked about what to do, and I've been doing the same thing like you have over the last week and a half. And it isn't that Scott's been giving us anything in the last week and a half. It's just I've been trying it out. He said, I'm going to do this. And you gotta sort of commit. You gotta say, I'm going to try this slider. And I think that's what you're saying. Like the recipe thing. I cannot for the life of me remember how I got this one thing all put together. I mean, I know I could probably go back and find it in my head. And I do think they have the, what you do. I think the history is in there somewhere, but if you looked at it, my sliders are back, and then I went back, and then I went back. Nah, it's just, you know, I got there, but I've saved a lot of presets. I do like that, and so I think that's been cool too.
It's pretty incredible software, and I know when I first started using it, this was a while ago. This probably would have been close to a year ago. It was not great. It was actually kind of slow on my machine. My machine's not brand new. It's a little bit older iMac, you know, but it was the top of the line back in the day, you know, 4 years ago or whatever. But it would even slow down on my machine. You know, you would make an adjustment on one of the sliders and it would take a second and you'd think, did it not do anything? And all of a sudden, boom, it would just appear. The adjustment was there. Now it's pretty much, I make the moves on sliders and it happens right there. So that's a good thing. And I think having it work so much faster has encouraged me to use it more. And I think I'm probably going to find myself using it even more and more. And, you know, and it's funny because Bob Panic's talking about this right now about holding out until the damn version comes out. I would say this, Bob, jump into it now anyways, just to get used to the controls, because I don't think that the damn side of things is really going to have an impact on how the controls function. And, you know, it's basically just going to be, you know, your cataloging system, your editing is still going to be your editing. So I would, you know, if it were me, well, hell, it is me. I'm talking about me. I'm learning it now so that when the damn version does come out, my workflow will just be like, boom, fast.
I'd like pumped. Get that. Yeah, I agree. And the ones that I'm going to talk about that I've been using is the Aurora HDR for single images. And then this photo lemur, which I'm just knocking me out, man. I just can't believe, you know, I've just been doing a lot of, like we were talking the other day, I showed Jamie my studio, like run and gun crap at work. And boy, does that help. I mean, I love editing, but I don't love editing all day at work when I got to have stuff turned in. Right. And it isn't my normal job to sit there and take pictures either. So
true. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And that's another, so again, you know, I've been talking pretty much strictly about Luminar, and you know, coming up here when we do the image shares, Mike's going to talk a little more in depth probably about using Photo Lemur and Aurora HDR. And before we get into that, I just do want to say that I think we're going to be doing another giveaway. I think we're going to give away another copy of Luminar. I'm not sure when yet. We're going to talk to Scott about this and get things lined up, but he's been really gracious with allowing us to give away a few copies of it over the last, you know, 10 months or something like that. So I think we'll try to go out on 2018 with a bang and give out one more copy of Luminar, probably just in time before the data asset portion of it rolls out, which would be cool.
Right.
And if you don't want to wait and see if you're the lucky person who happens to win, I would say get it. You know, one of the perks of Luminar is the fact that once you buy it, you're in it for life. It's not like, you know, the old versions of Photoshop where you would buy, you know, CS6, and then when CS7 came out, it was like, well, you got to buy CS7. Luminar is a buy once for life kind of a deal. You know, you buy Luminar 2018 and you constantly get the upgrades, and it's not a monthly cost associated with it either. So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
And there's, you know, I mean, we've had him on the show before, Jim Nix.
Yes.
out of
Yeah.
Austin, does some great videos on a lot on Aurora HDR, but also Luminar. So if you're looking at Jim, the reason I even bring him up, I just talked to him because I'm going to Austin in 3 weeks, try to see if I can hook up with him for a little bit and do some shooting. But yeah, he does some really nice 10-minute quick hit videos all the time on YouTube. So
hey, Bob, so Aurora is different than Luminar, just so you know. So they treat that different. That's a different software setup.
HDR.
Yep. Luminar is the one that I know for a fact is it's buy once and you're set. So just keep that in mind.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about workshops. I know that on the last episode we talked about, you know, that you and I were going to meet and we'd kind of have our workshop, at least the rough outline set up, and talk to everybody on this show about it. Mike had the opportunity to shoot like 90 headshots in one morning or something like that. So Mike is one of those people who's gracious with his time and donates it to worthy causes. So Mike donated his time to 90 headshots on the day that we were going to meet. So we haven't met yet, but we are meeting this weekend. Yes. So, but the plan is still the same. Definitely by the beginning of December, we're going to have that out there for you. You know, we'll have basic workshop calendar set up. Locations are what might be a little wonky on that because we're going to, again, do what we did last year. We're going to leave that up to you guys. Mike and I are going to sit down and kind of throw some cities.
Yeah. We just can't say the world's our oyster and open it up unless somebody really wants to pay a lot of money to get us there.
Right. Yeah. You know, that would be fine too.
Yeah. Actually.
So yeah, I might swing over there, Bob, and say hi to Frank at the Camera Mall. So another visionary is going to be here in Michigan, Frank Smith. And if you're watching this and live in Michigan, Frank is worth the drive. Incredible person, incredible photographer, and one heck of a presenter. So, so just stay tuned for on the next episode for a little more information about the workshops that we're going to be doing. And I know I'm also meeting with Mark Miller to discuss where him and I are going to do some workshops. And I can say this much right now. Initially, Mark and I talked about the Smokies in the spring. And just because of scheduling conflicts, I don't know that we're going to be able to do the Smokies, but we're looking at Moab instead. And this will be a fun workshop because this will be one of those ones where, again, you just need to get there. We kind of take care of the rest. You know, you don't have to drive. We'll be driving you all over in a big old van, and it'll be a good time. But details on that one are forthcoming as well. So I think 2019 is going to be a killer year for workshops for Mirrorless Adventures.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. All right.
So I will leave it up to you to fire out some photos and
all right. We'll and I'll flip through the first couple. That'll be some of the stuff done in the photo lemur piece here. Let's see. Okay. So do you see the axe throwing thing here?
Sure do.
Okay. So I don't know if, you know, how many people have thrown axes, but this is the big deal now here around Detroit. They got these new places popping up and you can go throw axes. So I've been working an event at work for the last week, and this is one of the places we took everybody. So just taking quick pictures. These are not, these are not game winners by any choice, but what I wanted to do was show some of what Photo Lemur does. And if you don't know Photo Lemur, you just drop the pictures in. I mean, you go right from Lightroom. So everything comes in just like Jamie was saying. I still go in, bring them all into Lightroom, but I drop them straight into Photo Lemur. I was doing, I think I'm going to show you here. I've got one with 5 or 6. You can do 10 at a time, depending on, the speed of your computer. I wouldn't suggest 30. I think I overheated my computer trying to do 30 at one time from the other day when I did all the headshots. But so mainly a lot of Photo Lemur, and you'll see it does a lot with faces and that. But I started dropping in just pictures like the one you're looking at here. Very dark in one side, and Lightroom, I could easily go in and fix this. But again, I'm trying to get 100, 150 pictures through. I want to get them done quickly. And if you're not big on sitting hours in front of Lightroom or looking at things, hey, this is a great option. I know we've had people in our workshop that do not use Lightroom at all, and they would love to have something like this. But so this is the before, and this is the after with nothing. Well, I guess a little bit of a crop here on the edge. I did crop that side. But I can tell you, just from the shadows it opens up, and what it does, it throws some contrast, takes care of shadows and highlights, and just makes it a quick, easier picture to see, And here's another one with a couple of people throwing some axes there, and in it, and this is the before, and then this is the after. I mean, could I do a little bit more? I probably would. But again, these are one of these things where you're doing an event, and you want to get some pictures for a presentation real quick the next day. So this is how you do it. But the photo lemur, and that's it. There's not a lot of options. So what I wanted to do is I took a screenshot of what it looks like when you drop them in and you hit export into photo lemur right from Lightroom, and you get this, and your pictures open up in it, and they go in they're what they are, usually a little dark in here, and then it just gets brighter and brighter and brighter. They're all done. You hit done, it zips it through like magic, and they're back into your thing. They're all made into TIFFs. You can do some adjustments in the face where it'll open the eyes a little bit. There are, and it's not, you can't see it down here, but there's like 6 filters you can pick from if you're into a filtering thing and you want to do that. So I think that it's a really nice program if you want to try it out on some faces. And I can tell you from some headshots, I'm sorry I don't have them right now, but the before and after on headshots were great. I mean, as long as you're controlling and shooting for the atmosphere that you're in, it really does help. It just brightens up the face, adds some nice contrast, a little bit of detail, and really worked well. So we were talking the other day, this next shot here is Squamish Falls, and this is done through Aurora HDR. And I got to tell you, I've used a lot of HDR programs, and I've used Aurora HDR, and I've always done, 3 photos, 5 photos, whatever it might be. I wanted to start dropping 1 photo into the new Aurora 2019. So I dropped this 1 photo I had here of Squamish Falls in it, and I'm blown away by what it's doing to it. I'm very small adjustments here or there I made within the program, and you can make a tremendous amount of adjustments in Aurora HDR. But what it did with 1 photo was amazing. So I dropped another one in. Again, I mean, there's probably some things that through Lightroom I could have enhanced a little bit better, maybe. But this is I don't know. I'm going to guess maybe 4 minutes. After I looked at it back into Lightroom and did some straightening, and this one, same thing, maybe 2-3 minutes. So again, if you don't want to sit in front of the computer, these things really are amazing, and you can still in Aurora HDR. And I know Jamie's going to talk about the other software from Skylum with Luminar. You can get in and really spend some time. It was out in this one is done in Luminar, and I knew exactly what I wanted when I did this one in Luminar. And it wasn't so much that I love where the bridge is. That wasn't the idea. The idea was to get the San Francisco skyline, and I wanted to get the sun rays. And in Luminar, they've got a great sun ray filter that does a lot of sharp stuff. And so I suggest you use that. They did work with the skies. This was before the AI enhancer, and I'll let Jamie talk about that when he gets in with his. This also done in Luminar. Very simple edits, and this one is just a little different. As you can see, the traffic here. I really didn't. We were there to shoot a lot of live composite and all that, but I wanted to get one without the live composite, and just showing the rush hour going across the Bay Bridge last week. And I was shooting with Jeff Sweet and Nam Ing and also Pat Garvey, who I met out there for the first time. So great spot we found, and a lot of fun. And then this last one. So on a live composite, I dropped this 1 photo into Aurora HDR. I said, I'm going to just try it. I did. And here we are. I mean, I've got a certain way I go through my photos when I do live composite. And it's a very, in my mind, pretty detailed way to go through it in Lightroom. And sometimes I'll bounce it around even into On1. But I said, I'm going to throw this thing into Aurora HDR and see what it does with 1 photo. And again, I'm amazed at what it does with the streaks. and how it brought out the orange in the sky that wasn't there. So really, really sharp. Couldn't have been actually happier with what these done. And that's just the timing. I think that's the biggest thing is, your time. When you're on the road and you want to get stuff done, and especially if you want to get a picture out there, because you got to
for sure.
But yeah, there's some great results. And again, I haven't really practiced in it yet. So that's I think that's the thing that's blowing me away. Go like, what happens when I really start learning this a little better?
Yeah, and I don't think it's really hard to put across in a screen share how Photolemur works.
It is, because it's so fast, it just sort of happens.
So the way I used it, or the way when I was working with it, is I was quite literally, I put in my SD card into my reader, and I have a folder already set up on my, main storage drive. And then I just dragged the RAWs into that folder. I opened up Photolemur and I just found whichever pictures I wanted to use, and I just drag them and drop them onto Photolemur. And it literally, I mean, no Lightroom involvement whatsoever. I just drug it over. And again, for people who've never seen how this works, you drag the raw file onto it, and then you're pretty much just done.
Yeah, you're done.
It'll analyze the picture to look for faces. If there's faces, it will whiten the eyes. It will, like Mike said, it can even kind of widen the eyes a little bit, Yep. And it will even out skin tones. It does all kinds of stuff for faces. It looks for skies. It will also do it'll enhance the sky. If this, if there's blue sky, it's going to make the blue a little bit bluer, a little bit more contrasty. It does a lot of great edits just all by itself, hands-free. So, maybe not necessarily like a pro would use it all the time, but a pro might use it especially in a case where you're doing 90 headshots. You just want to drag 30 at a time into this thing and just let it boom, boom, boom. It's gonna, if it's underexposed a little bit, it's gonna bring up the exposures. If it's overexposed, it's gonna tone it down. It's very, very smart. And for those who maybe have a significant other or a friend who's new into photography that really wants to get some cool looking photos without work, gift them Photolemur. It's bad. So I mean,
I think that's, when where were we, Atlanta, when we were doing, I think the last year, there were a couple of people there that just said, I don't want to
mess. Yes. Yep.
I just want to drag my photos in, and they don't necessarily, nothing's wrong with, Photos, the Photos app, of course, on a Mac. And it's getting more and more detailed. Actually, the Photos app was a lot more simpler. Now you can do a lot with, the additions. But this is the exact thing that we didn't have at that time.
Right.
I would have recommended.
For sure.
You know what? You want to, they went and shot, we were shooting Old Car City.
Yeah. And this will be something that gets brought along on workshops on our computer. So people will be able to see it. Because I know you're right. It's something that I wish I could have shown other people as part of the wrap up side of the workshops. Mike and I always do the sit down and talk about post-processing. And, like you said, not everybody wants to. I love to fiddle and adjust sliders, and that's just part of my process. But a lot of people just want to give some nice tweaks to it without having to spend a bunch of time. And this is the way to do it. So I'll do a quick image share. I don't have that many. I've literally got 4. So I'll be really quick tonight. And I'll be extra quick because I won't be able to give you guys all of the exact settings that I use on everything. So, and it's funny because these are all the barn. Now some of these were taken, at an earlier date, as you can tell, maybe because there's some green foliage in here in Michigan right now. Green foliage is pretty much gone at this point. So I revisited some older photos just to see how working with Luminar might work out for me. So this photo right here is actually a portrait orientation panorama of 4 shots, I believe. I did the merge initially in Lightroom. And this was pre Lightroom doing HDR panorama merges. So these were 3 or 4 single exposures merged into just a pano, and then brought over into Luminar. And even with very little experience in using Luminar, these were my end results after, I'm going to say, 3 minutes, maybe 4 minutes of working in Luminar. And I promise that on the next episode of the show, I'm going to do the same thing again, where I share images shot and edited with Luminar or Lightroom, whichever one I'm using. I think moving forward, though, I'm going to start doing before and afters. I think it's really impactful to be able to share with you guys what it initially looked like, because I'm going to show you this photo that, that I'm happy with, but you know, for all you know, this could have been straight out of the camera. Man, I wish I could do this straight out of the camera, but it's not. This is, you know, again, run through Luminar, but really easy. So the Luminar has this new thing that they call it their Sky Enhancer, and it uses, I'm gonna love the buzzword here, it uses AI. So there's some sort of algorithm that kind of, I don't know what they exactly mean by AI. If it analyzes like all the images that everybody else edits with Luminar, and then compiles that data to come up with some smart algorithm to do skies, whatever it's doing, it's smart, and it does a great job of it. So the clouds that are in this scene, I know, I'm sorry, Steve, I promise next time there'll be before and after, because this, I kind of finally realized this is almost ridiculous to talk this way about it. But in the original scene, the sky was way more overexposed, because you can see I'm shooting straight into the sun. Granted, I was using Nisi filters to kind of tone down the sky a little bit, so that there was still some detail in the sky, obviously, but there was not nearly as much detail as there is in this finished product. And a lot of that was done just using the AI, the sky enhancer in Luminar, which is literally as complicated as just dragging the slider to the right and saying, wow, okay, this is cool. So, and then, you know, temperature adjustments, because the scene initially wasn't quite as warm as it is in this. And I just wanted to kind of give it a little bit of a warmer feeling, which is the same as what I did in this shot right here. It's funny too, because I like the photo, but it's funny, it got like a lot of feedback online from people that really liked it. Maybe I just need to start doing more long exposure stuff. So this was just, again, shot at the barn. This was actually recently, you know, as you can tell by the soybeans in the field being about ready for harvest. Just a long exposure, but this was not that warm initially. And this was, again, something that was done using Luminar. I just changed the color temperature in the sky. And also because this was a longer exposure, and again, this was actually shot like in the middle of the day, not in the evening. It's funny because you can tell it in, you know, people that you shot something whenever you want just by changing how it looks. So this wasn't sunset or sunrise. This was actually like middle of the day. But because it was middle of the day, clouds are white, so they tend to wash out, and then it's a long exposure, so now they're streaked. They're even more, you know, indiscernible from the background. They kind of just get muddied up. But again, that sky enhancer in Luminar was just bonkers. It brought out so much detail in the photo. And actually the coloring on this image didn't happen until after I'd brought out the detail in the sky, because I just didn't think there would be much to work with here. And also, just, you know, this is not like a bracketed shot, so I'm not working with a bunch of, you know, stacked images to get me like a ridiculous amount of information. This is a single raw file from the EM1 Mark II. So it just kind of shows you that there is a lot of dynamic range buried into this camera. You just gotta get in there and dig it. The Sky Enhancer really made that super easy work. But like I said, I didn't know I was going to have that much going on with the image until I used that Sky Enhancer, and I thought, wow, okay, I think I'm going to stick with this photo and kind of work on it a little bit. And that's when I decided to kind of give it this dreamy, you know, sunset, sunrise kind of a feel by warming up the sky, and not just warming it, but also actually tinting it a little pink in the process. Another shot, again, you know, it's barn day here on Mirrorless Minutes. But so it's funny too, because this was actually shot with the 12-40. This is an older shot. This is from the spring of this year, actually. So the top one was summer. The one I just shared a second ago was autumn. This one was spring, before the soybeans were actually sown in the field. But shot with the 12-40. Single exposure, not an HDR. Again, just kind of giving praise to the dynamic range in the EM1 Mark II here. But again, another one of those shots where, you know, I'd run this through Lightroom once and gotten a really cool photo that I liked, but I just wanted to come back through and play off of Luminar's tools. And like Mike said, they do have this sunburst filter that's in Luminar, and that's actually applied here and just kind of really toned down a lot. So there was naturally a sunburst there, but by overlaying Luminar's sunburst filter onto the sunburst that was already there, it really just started to bring it out quite a bit more. And again, the sky was brought out a lot of details brought out in the sky, more on the horizon and in the dead center of the frame than anywhere else, thanks to the sky filter. I keep wanting to call it like the Sky AI filter. It's not right, but damn it, I just want to say artificial intelligence a lot. But again, I cannot speak enough praise about how well that that AI system works. And this is another shot from summer after the soybean obviously was higher, 7-14 on the EM1 Mark II. And again, kind of the same thing. This was actually very little post-processing. This was pretty much just running the slider on the sky filter all the way to the right, bumping up the contrast a little bit. And let me think, what else did I do? And I think clarity to just kind of really give a lot more definition to the edges of that like supercell part of the cloud at the bottom there. And that's it. So these edits were done just super, super, super fast. And I'll tell you what, I think I'm going to actually probably do like some sort of like a YouTube video. Just, I've done them in the past with Lightroom, just kind of showing me, just kind of whipping through a photo. I think I'm going to do a few of those with Luminar just to show people that, man, it's easy to use. And it kind of makes me sad. It's so easy because I love working on photos. I get into this zone where it's like, I get an image up on my screens here, and it's like, all right, I'm going to start working on this. I'm going to do that. And I'm fiddling, and I'm kind of digging stuff, and now it's just like, boom, 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 boom. Okay. What am I going to work on next? It's just like that. So I think I'll do a few videos to kind of talk about that. And I think, again, like we said on the next show, we'll do, I'll make sure that I do before and afters, because again, it's one thing to just show, hey, this is the finished product, it's another thing to say, this is what it looked like. This is what I did in like 3 minutes in Luminar. So your mic is muted.
Yeah, here I'm talking away. But I wanted to tell you this too, because I opened it up and checked real quick what it is, because it is called AI Sky Enhancer.
Okay, I was just throwing AI at the wrong end.
Yeah, of the name. And the one above it is new too. I think that's that Accent AI filter.
Yes,
that's something to take care of the whole picture. If I'm
correct,
right, right. It's like an auto, but it seems to be a little bit better of an auto situation.
I think what it does, and that's probably what I should have said. When I said I used the clarity slider, I think that was actually the AI enhancer.
Yeah,
because what that ends up doing, I think this is what I see. I'm probably completely wrong, and if I am, somebody correct me. But it looks like it's finding the edges of contrast points and kind of making more definition there. It helps make separation. It's hard to explain, but I'll tell you what, it gives depth to your photos. Really showed through on that last photo that I shared of the soybeans where I was down really close. It gave just so much more depth to the photo. I swear, I hate to say it, it feels like cheating. It's just so easy to just go through and just kind of crank out, a great photo in like 2 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, in fact, I'm messing with that thing now. Here I'm just walking around with the darn program up because I brought one in. I haven't actually looked at it yet. I said, "Oh, geez, that really did look nice." Yeah, those are great. Those are great barn shots.
Thank you.
The long exposure one, especially with the barn very small, obviously in the back. That one did come out cool.
Yeah, and just again, so everybody knows. I mean, if you're a regular watcher, you already know this. But if you swing over to the Mirrorless Minutes Facebook page, within 5 or 10 minutes after the show is done, we'll have the photos that we shared tonight over there. And you'll be able to see, just exactly what we were able to accomplish with, with this software. I mean, again, we're not paid by Luminar to say any of this stuff or anything like that. It's just, it really is. It's pretty powerful. I'm pretty floored with it. So
yeah. I think it's a lot of fun. You know what? Whenever you get something new fun to help your creative process, to me, it's just like finding, micro four thirds compared to what it was before. So
yeah, something that brings the fun back into this whole thing, is anything you can do to keep it fun is good.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Pretty pumped on that. And I think that's really about it for today. Again, just keep your ears open for, we'll probably announce that we're going to do another giveaway for Luminar. We'll make it fun. We'll make it so that you have to do something. Yeah. It's probably not fun for you guys. It's fun for us to make you guys do stuff. But, I tell you what, it'll be a fun giveaway because it'll be right before the end of the year. It'll be right before Christmas. It'll probably be like a great little Christmas gift to whoever wins it. But in the meantime, just again, thanks for all the support you guys give us. We really appreciate it. You make doing the show a lot of fun. It makes all the difference to us.
Yeah,
in the world. And like we said too, just kind of keep an eye out for the next episode. We'll probably be talking a lot more about the workshops for 2019. We want to make sure that before the end of the year, everything is kind of laid out and clear so that there's plenty of time for people to plan if you want to attend one of these. And they're going to be all over the country, it sounds like. So that's pretty cool.
I know. Yeah. And well, for sure, New York City, if you go to Moab and wherever we go, and they'll be all over the place.
Yeah. All right, you guys. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and we'll talk to y'all later. See ya.